Welcome everyone. Today we have Goran Soldo with Axess Digital sharing about their digital solutions for drops inspections. So I'll hand it over to you, Goran. Welcome.
Thank you, Kim. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm gonna cut straight to the case and try to keep it short and sweet. Now, during my presentation, I'm not able to see your digital hands if you have any questions. So please interrupt me while I'm speaking. I've shared my screen and I hope you can see a passion in life, passion at work text.
Yes, we can see it.
Very good. So I'm going to do a brief introduction first. My name is Goran Soldo. I work as head of sales for Axess Digital, which is part of the Axess Group. And we deliver a solution for drops inspection and management, and we call it eDROPS, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So the agenda is to first show you why we developed eDROPS. We will go through some eDROPS implementation and highlights, and then in the end we will go to a live demo where we will go inside of the software, and I will show you how you can capture and manage the findings. The presentation should take about 30 to 40 minutes. Let's start with why we developed the eDROPS. First of all, it's all about safety, as you will see on my next slide here. That's the #1 priority. But in order to increase safety, we see that user experience and user interface is very important because it drives consistency. And we see quite often that large inspection manuals can consist about maybe up to 5,000 different tags that need to be inspected. And of course, when you print out 350 pages of Excel checklists and you need to do that inspection, it can be very easy to say no. And we see that sometimes a lot of things are skipped and not follow up correctly. So we hope that by having a very good and easy solution, this will actually drive the consistency and make people do more. So it's all about making people responsible for their own safety. So we're moving actually the responsibility out towards the users, out towards the people actually already working offshore, if we are speaking now of typical drilling platforms, FPSOs and installations like that. We also see that by having these types of solutions where where the companies can more or less do a lot of the inspections themselves, that reduces actually the cost because sending people offshore is quite expensive. Also, when you have a very good user interface, you reduce errors in quality because you have the possibility to follow more or less a better guideline, which you will see in our demo later on. And of course, another important thing here is that having data on a paper, that's not very useful. When you capture data inside of an application, you can actually then use that for something. So today I'm going to go a little bit through eDROPS flowchart. We will discuss the baseline first, and what I mean by baseline is actually how do we implement such a software. And then in the live demo, we are going to look at 3 modes. It's inspection mode, management mode, and super user mode. The names speak for themselves, so I will show you actually how things work later on. But let's start with baseline, so we have common understanding of how we actually build this type of software for a client. So here we have an installation as an example. And I'm now talking about, very often I mention installations which are already in production, but there's nothing wrong with starting to implement this process already under fabrication. So we would normally get all the data that we can get from your drops handbook or inspection manual or what you have. We will look at all of your maintenance strategies and your maintenance program, and we will take that and build a hierarchy in the software. Now, once that hierarchy has been built, it can be built in different ways, area-based, tag-based, many different approaches there. But one important thing is that our solution is not supposed to replace your current computerized maintenance system. It's actually something that contributes to it. So there is a possibility to build a solution between those two systems, between eDROPS and if you're using SAP or AIM or any other CMM system, but we don't have a plug and play solution for that. So that needs to be done separately for each client. And based on our calculations, once you're up and running in eDROPS, you start to get, of course, a return on your investment. And that return on an investment I have described in this presentation as value, where you save time, you save cost, but also you improve quality and user interface. And those two are just as important as well when it comes to safety. So over to inspection, I will just go through a couple of highlights before we go over to Drops demo. But once you have implemented eDROPS, you will use a handheld device to perform all of your inspection. And that makes your process much easier, especially when it comes to having a very good overview of our scope of work and down to little things such as just adding pictures, which we from experience know can be quite challenging when building reports. In this type of software, you can build reports almost instantly. At the same time, you can use the data for something. You can look at key performance indicators across your installations. You can see trends, you can see status and things like this. The dashboard that you are seeing now is under development, but the one that you will see in today's demo looks like this. So here you have overdue jobs, upcoming jobs, you see all of the findings, you see heat maps and fails that are most frequently found last 12 months. Very brief here before we go over to live demo, I will mention that every time we deliver this solution to a client, we also have a training for the users. And normally we have 2 or 3 super users that we provide with training on every installation. So that means that the client is independent of a third-party company, and they can do a lot of they're not depending on a third-party company, and they can do a lot of changes and in the hierarchy themselves. They can add or remove equipment and things like that. Another important highlight here is that the software will function both on and offline, and this is important so no data is lost during the inspection. So if the inspector is moving, for example, on an installation in an area where there's a very poor internet connection, he still will be able to perform his inspection and take the pictures and enter all the text and things like that, mark the areas, and once he is back inside the internet coverage, the software will automatically update, and then this information will be sorry, not update but synchronize, and then this information will be available for everyone who has access to the software. As I mentioned, going digital gives you a lot of benefits like collecting historic data. It's easier to build knowledge. You have more consistent reporting. You reduce human errors. It's much easier to use than conventional approach. And of course, you can perform data analysis. So here is just an easy illustration of one very important highlight, and that's how you save time and therefore cost. So in a conventional system, you would have to do a lot of preparations for inspection. You would have to find what you need and print it out and prepare yourself, then do the on-site execution, and then spend 3 days, 4 days maybe to build a report. With this solution, you build the hierarchy and you build everything once, and then it's just actually to pick up the tablet and you go out there and you do the inspection. And if you need reports and information, everything is in there, and by clicking a button, you have your report ready. I think this is where I will just wrap it up. I will be speaking during my demo presentation about the value proposition in general, which I already mentioned, but this is sort of just a summary of what I have been speaking about so far. So then let's go over to my browser here. And what you can see now is actually eDROPS software. You are seeing it now on my computer, but I'm going to pretend now that I'm actually an inspector and that I'm going to perform an inspection. This is our demo, which is based on a drilling rig, but the system will be the same for an FPSO or any other installation. Of course, the icons here will be a little bit different, something like this, and maybe little different area names, sorry, department names. So now I'm putting my inspection hat on, and I would now use normally a handheld device. But since I'm not offshore and I don't have a handheld device, I have to use my computer. So the things look a little bit different, but not that much. So let's say I want to perform an inspection. I first start by choosing a department where I want to start. And that could be, for example, a marine department. Then I see all of my areas within the marine department, and I see here that I have a predefined area called cranes. Now, all of this information is what we call baseline, and this is the hierarchy that we have built with belonging GA drawings and pictures and things like that. So I see that in my crane area, I have sub areas, a starboard crane, port crane, and things like this. And then I can just say that, okay, I'm going to start with the starboard crane. So once I've done that, I go directly to the job and I can click inspect. The system asks me to enter my name. Now I do that, and now, since this is an inspection that is already started, it stands here resume inspection. If so, we know that somebody has been doing some inspection work already, and for demo purposes, I'm just showing you that how you would continue to do so. If this was an inspection that we just started, it would just be here text like start the inspection. So now I'm automatically, my system puts me where somebody is left off, and I can click on view work scope, and I see here check marks for sub areas that have already been completed. And then depending on where I stand, I can choose what I want to inspect. Let's say that I'm interested to, for example, go over the cameras here. There is a check mark here that has been completed, but just for demo purposes, let's use camera. I can go in here and I see that there is already 3 findings there. And I can click on the findings to see details. I'm not going to do that now because I'm going to show you the process. And let's say that, for example, I'm interested into to inspecting this camera, but it has been some time since I have done this inspection. That's why we have this view best practice button here, because then you can go inside and you can actually read up on how to perform inspection of camera according to best practice. So if you wanted to inspect this camera again, you would just use the same checklist over and over again. Now, this is the reason that I went into the camera here, which already has been inspected, is to show you the approach where we are inspecting by reusing the checklists. Now, there is nothing wrong that you can have one checklist per camera, say. Then you would have like camera here with the belonging tag number, and then you would do sort of the checking for each camera once. But based on our experience, it's much better to focus on area inspection, because that puts actually the responsibility in the head inside of the people who are going to actually perform this. So then you had maybe, we have then reduced the number of clicks by 80%. So you would simply just go through the same checklist again. You would look at camera with its components in good condition. Yes. Bolt connections are tight and secure, already okay. Secondary retention is secure in good condition. Oh, here we have a problem. So then you would simply click on no, and then you see that the add finding button has appeared and you can click on that. So now you have to select the risk level. It's high, medium, or low. If you are unsure, we have developed a risk calculator here, which can help you to decide what sort of level this should be. So you can just enter the weight, for example, 20 kilograms at a height of 20 meters. The system asks you, is there a function safety securing on the item? No. Calculate risk. Now we see that the potential consequence here would be major injury or death. That means risk level high. And we can click on use calculated risk. Sorry. The system asked me, does this object pose immediate danger? If yes, you are not allowed to proceed before you have immediately notified closest superior and secured the area. If it doesn't pose immediate danger, you click on no. And then you have to populate the list here. So the category here was secondary retention. Subcategory, maybe we found some corrosion. Then you can enter text here to describe the problem. And my favorite part is that you can now actually mark the location. And these GA drawings or pictures will be implemented in here during the baseline that I was talking about. We see that our inspectors are spending a lot of time on trying to find where actually the tag that is described as a finding is located. With these heat maps, it's much easier to actually show where you are standing when you are registering this type of finding. You can also add additional text to describe if, for example, it's behind something or things like that. And you can take pictures. Now I'm going to use my computer to just add a picture, but of course offshore with a handheld device you would just use the device to take the picture, which is very, very convenient because then you can take all the pictures you need, and the 3 pictures here would then also be inside of the report, which you can build later on by simply clicking a button. So you can go inside the picture and we have some tools there where you can actually point straight to the finding. Once that has been done, you have to register if the finding has been closed or not. If it is closed, you have to describe what you have done. If it's not closed, then you need to enter some information here, like the proposed action. It's a free text. Maybe you need to purchase some bolts or something. You can put that in here so you know what you need. And also you can mark if this requires rope access for closing. And this is very beneficial because later you will see that you can actually filter out, for example, only findings that require rope access. And that means that it's much easier to plan if you need to order a third party to come out offshore and close these types of findings. And then you would simply click register finding. And now you see that we have 4 findings instead of 3. And then we would just repeat this process over again and go to the next item. Now you see the doors, they have not been inspected before. So this checklist is now fully fresh. And you would simply go through the checklist and then the next one. And if you find a finding, you would then do the same process again. And you would do this until all of this work, scope of work here has been completed. Once that's done, we have completed the inspection. Now I'm taking off my inspection hat and I'm putting on my manager's hat on. And now you can see here that I will switch from tablet mode to desktop mode. So now I'm pretending to be maybe a manager sitting on an installation, and I would like to see an overview of all of the findings that have been captured during, for example, previous inspection. And I can see all the overdue jobs, I can see upcoming jobs, recently performed jobs. I see all of the findings, I see the split here between the different categories, and I see all of the heat maps, so I can easily see where I have my findings. If I'm interested into going here, for example, I can click on the finding and then I see the picture and I see what it is. I can look at as many as I want. And if I'm interested into seeing more details, I simply click on the finding and then I go back to the list that we have populated. I see also the history of change. So if there have been several things that have been done here, I would see it as the line items down here. So we have full traceability here. You also see the fails which are most frequent by item types, areas, categories, and subcategories. We are now working on developing a desktop mode where you can see, now you are seeing this information for one installation only. But within a couple of months, I hope that our new desktop will be ready and you will actually then be able to see information and KPIs and trends across your installations. Now over to my favorite part of this software is actually reports, because I spent some time building these reports and it takes a lot of time. When you are going digital, you can actually filter out what you need and click on preview. And within 10 seconds, the system will actually build the report for you. It will integrate and put inside of the report all the pictures. It will make a front page, it will have a summary, and you will see all of the information for each finding in the report with belonging pictures and things like that. Now, this is a demo, so there's a lot of information missing, obviously. But there's no doubt that this is a very convenient way of building reports. And an interesting thing here is that they are available 24/7, and anybody with user access can go inside the software and take out any report that they need. If, for example, they need to document something for upper management or a third party or something like that. The system is very flexible, so you have also a findings tab here where you can actually filter out. For example, I want to plan to close out all of the findings that need rope access, and maybe I want to do that for the marine department. I simply apply that selection and then I see all of the findings there. So it's very easy for me to start conversations with a third party company, which maybe then can come offshore and prepare for all of these activities that need to be done. So we can go in here and look what materials we need, what type of findings there are, and plan the job in much better and easier way than going through 550 pages of Excel sheets. In the end, I will just show you the super user mode. Now, as I already said, this is not available for everyone, but the people with correct access and correct training will be able to actually go in here. And they can go into the hierarchy and they can actually click their ways through here, change the inspection frequency, names, tag numbers, and things like that. And they can go inside of the planning here and they can actually add new equipment. Let's say that there is a new camera within this sub area, then they can add information about that new camera, or they can actually remove the equipment. And this once you click on something here, you will automatically get the checklist, because there are checklists for camera and control panels and things like this. They're already in the system. So it's a very convenient way of performing drops inspection, and you have full traceability, full control, full history, and also you are much more independent. That means that a lot of the inspection work can then be done by the people who already are offshore, and you don't need to rely that much on third parties. Of course, you will have anyhow probably a lot of yearly inspections and things like this. But if you are using the software, there's nothing wrong that you can choose what type of third party company you want to use. You are by no means restricted to a specific company. So a lot of flexibility here. All right, I have now been talking quite a lot. And now it would be maybe interesting to get some discussions going on and hear what you think and if you have any questions about what I have said so far.
Excellent. Thanks very much, Goran. So we have Sagar, Phil, and Russ on the line. I'm not sure if any of you have questions or if you would like me to kick it off.
Yeah, Joachim, it's Russ here. No questions from my end. Of course, Transocean are rolling this system out across our fleet right now, and I think some of the rigs in our region here will be benefiting from it soon. So my only involvement was pretty early on, probably 3 years ago, with some of the initial kickoff meetings when Ricky Holton was around, and he was kind of heading it up for Transocean. But what I know of it is, I guess, what's just been described. it's gonna put everything in one place and greatly assist in being able to do inspections and capture information and reduce an awful lot of administration. But I have no working hands-on experience with it just yet, other than I know that it's coming to a rig near me soon. So I'm looking forward to the rig's feedback, particularly from the asset management side, and how it's going to benefit them. But yeah, good presentation. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Russ. And then I'll probably follow up with you a few months probably after that has been implemented on your rig. Phil, Sagar, any questions?
No questions. We're using the group themselves for our train the trainer program, which is already commenced within Ball. So that was a stem on from the presentations that they've already given to us in regards to the level of experience and expertise that appears to be shown from that presentation we've just received. I'm the same as what you just yourself said, Joachim. I'd love to get the feedback from Russ, in the future as to how this came about. How this is developing on board their rigs in Transocean. If I can make a broader question, how long, Russ, was this a 3-year process to get from where you just mentioned to get to now that Transocean have adopted the program?
I guess someone from Axess side can give us an update on where we started the rollout. But I know for our region here, we had a meeting with some of our rig teams with the Axess developers in Bangkok. It's got to be 3 years ago now. When we were thrashing out expectations and potential pitfalls that the users could see. So we had rig hands involved in that meeting, obviously trying to get some buy-in from their side as to what was coming, but also to hear from them what they would like to see. So I think a lot of the development has taken an awful long time, but I know that we've been rolling it out. Perhaps some of the Norwegian rigs already have it, perhaps in the Gulf of Mexico. For the Asia, Africa rigs here just now, we'll be rolling out this year. But in answer to your question, yes, we're probably 3 years, if not more, into this journey already.
I can, hello, everyone. So I can give some background on the. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I'll mute.
Okay, no, I can give some background. So, okay, turn on my camera. So my name is Ricardo. Russ, I met you also in the Bangkok workshop. So based in Singapore, and I was involved as well in the eDROPS discussion with Transocean. So it took 3 years, yes. That sessions were actually to start. It was a brainstorming sessions that we brought our engineers to this session. So we've been developing this hand in hand with Transocean. The Transocean was part almost of the development, and then there was also the commercial part that was when our inspection contract was due with Transocean was the end of 2020. So there was a clear milestone that commercially was easier to get. So that's why it only got signed early 2021. So that also the pandemic put a little bit of pressure on that as well. But That was a very long process because we wanted to make sure that was user friendly. And that's why we invited to the workshop not only the managers that usually are part of the decision making process, but we invited rig mechanics, we invited tool pushers. So all of these workshops, and in different regions. So we had workshop in UK, here in Bangkok, and then in Houston. So we make sure that all of the feedback from the users or potential users was taken into consideration. Otherwise, we would make the software only from us as a third-party company, and then we would not address necessarily the real case. So that's why even in terms of logging and users, there was a lot of discussions on that. But now I think it's benefiting. It's possible for third parties and for crew to use.
Yes, thank you, Ricardo, for that. And to answer another question, which is sort of connected with this, is that now we have done the sort of the all of the user interface development. We've been working close with Transocean, and now we have things up and running, so to speak. So to put another perspective on it, let's say that for a new installation now, from they decide to go for a solution like this, we need 9 weeks to implement it. So from the let's call it a signed PO date till you're up and running in eDROPS, it's approximately 9 weeks.
Wow. Yeah, it sounds like a long development time, but and I think it's a concept that a lot of companies have been thinking about. But yeah, the devil's is in the details, and getting it right is yeah, takes time. So yeah, good to hear. You mentioned that you do not necessarily need to use Axess to do the inspection. So I mean, let's say, a drilling contractor reactivates a rig in Singapore, and let's say they go to Indonesia, and for whatever reason, you might not provide services there. Though I'm just giving an example. But how would another inspection company then kind of use the system to put in their findings?
Yes, so once you purchase a license, you have the full right of usage, and you can select the number of users. Of course, that is depending a little bit with the monthly cost, of course. But typically, the company would have a generic username, for example, third-party inspection at transocean.com, and then once this third party is onshore, they would use that username to log in and do the inspection. Ravi has his digital hand up here. Please, Ravi, go ahead.
Yeah, hi. I'm Ravi Mishra, Regional Manager for Axess for the Middle East region. So one thing which I would like to add to Goran's point is the technology which has been developed is to reduce the third-party inspection time, along with the ensuring that crew is more competent in terms of performing all the scopes. So this technology is independent of Axess inspection services, and we or any other company just became auditor. So what we are anticipating that once it is rolled out, a third party drops inspection company might take 6 to 7 days maximum, and this data is owned by drilling contractor. So the crew member who are on the rig, they are using this technology to maintain do the regular inspections and filling up the data. So the third party company which comes on board, they will have access to the data, as Goran mentioned, with the generic ID, and anyone can follow from that. Access services is not required if you are using like it's not mandatory to use Axess to use this software. So let's put it that way.
That is correct. Thank you, Ravi.
Wow. That's quite impressive. So it's called eDROPS. Does it cover other subjects as well? I mean, do you cover like lifting inspections? Sometimes it's done by the same companies.
Actually, how this system works is that we have built a platform which is called the bridge, and eDROPS is part of that platform as as a standalone application. So, for example, let's say that you want to do NDT inspection, then we have a different type of software for that. It's called actually Bridge NDT,
Okay.
very conveniently. And also we have other types of solutions as well. For example, Bridge Equip, where you have in order to get full control of your lifting equipment. And in the end here, I think I will also mention our digital material handling system, where you have the possibility to make sure that all of your information about material handling is in one place. So all of these solutions are different applications within the same platform. So once you log inside of the platform, you will see icons for each of the applications that you are subscribing to. So it's very conveniently gathered in one place, but it's different standalone solutions within the same platform.
Excellent, excellent. So you're rolling this out with Transocean now, and I'm assuming that other drilling contractors and asset owners from different organizations. I'm sure you're also focused on other industries. But what do you see? What do you see happening? What are the kind of next major developments in this kind of platform?
Yeah, so we have actually built a complete organization around this. And the reason that we did that is exactly to be able to sort of have some sort of foresight of our client needs. And to answer your question easily, we are very carefully listening to the users. And once we see that, for example, different companies are starting to talk about different needs, then we use our product management team to sort of take that action upon themselves and try to develop the solution. So one of the interesting solutions here is that we are already discussing is how can we, for example, down the road, try to take all of the data within the software for all of the companies that are doing inspection work and sort of build some desktop where you can maybe see what are the top 10 findings across the globe and not just across your own fleet. So what are other people struggling with? How are they solving it? And things like this. So software is it's an amazing thing because, for example, when we developed the drops calculator, that's something that we discussed with a couple of our clients. But once we developed it, everyone got it. So it's the beauty of software. As we develop our solutions, as we apply new technologies and things like this, everybody sort of gets the benefit of it. So we have, of course, a very long list of interesting things to do, but we are trying to sort of prioritize and pick out the most important things. And I think that these across installations and global desktops are one of our main priority.
Well, it would certainly be helpful to guide the industry to kind of focus on certain areas, and that's one of these things that we still struggle with drops is indeed, unfortunately, you see the same thing happening again and again. And if we have the data to support what companies should focus on, that should kind of accelerate the adoption of yeah, kind of remedial actions. Yeah.
Yeah, of course, and I also, as I said also during my introduction, one thing that we don't talk about very often, but which I personally think is very important, it's actually the user interface and user experience. From my own life experience, let's say it like that, I know that I don't want to do things which are hard to do. That's just the way human nature is. So the more convenient way you can establish for people to actually focus on safety and drops, object management and things like this, the easier it will be and the culture will slowly change. Because suddenly it's beginning to be a little bit fun to do these types of inspection, because you get to play around with a tablet and you get to take some pictures and it's very easy to do so. So you understand what I mean. It's a very nice way of promoting a safety culture in a playful way.
Yeah. So everyone who knows me, I love my gadgets. But how about are all of your surveyors as excited, or do you have some people who are like, well, just give me a book to work from?
Ricardo has his virtual hand up, so go ahead, Ricardo.
Yeah, it's a good point, Joachim, about the. I mean, of course, not everyone is as excited as I'm. Also consider myself a little bit gadget geek, as you mentioned. I remember when I saw RealWare, and we are now fully implemented RealWare. I just wanted that so badly. But yeah, it is some challenges. Of course, it's not going to be smooth sailing. No one likes changes, but I think when people realize, I think that the work scope, the best practice is there. I think that's what is selling the inspectors to the inspectors. Oh, okay. So now I have a booklet that will actually add value to me. I'm not just gonna have a lot of new technology that maybe I'm not very familiar with just for the company's benefit. He would actually see that the quality of his inspection and the information that he needs is actually there on the tip of the thing. So that's what I think changed the mentality.
I see some industries are struggling or to kind of adopt drops best practices. What other industries do you think should really be thinking about it, but are perhaps not doing so yet?
Well, as Ricardo said, we have been a lot of focused on drilling and FPSO lately, but I would say that both energy companies, MMO companies serve, but also especially renewables. Lately, we have had a lot of discussions with companies within that segment, and we see that the need that the need is there. I see that Russ has held his virtual hand for quite some time. Russ, please go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, a couple of points. By the end of this year, all of our rigs will have it. I know that's one of our targets for the year, so it's not going to be very long. But if I cast my mind back, certainly to the session that I was involved in, and I threw myself into that session simply because I was curious. I knew that the session was being run and that we were bringing rig crews in, and I was curious just to understand what it was we were asking them. And the point I was going to make was, I listened to them. Some of them were a bit starry-eyed at the beginning, or a bit blurry-eyed, not quite understanding what the concept was. But when we got out of them what they wanted from a system, and then when I have a look at the demo you just presented, they line up almost perfectly. The demo that you just went through kind of describes what their wishes were 3 years ago. And when we talk about inspectors, or in my mind, when I'm talking about inspectors, I'm not talking about third-party inspectors. The inspectors are the rig crew. We still have, for dropped object surveys, we still have a requirement to do an independent survey every 2 years. But it's no different than putting your car into the garage to have its annual check. That it's only as good as that. The real value is from the daily, weekly, monthly, periodic inspections that the rig team are doing. And this tool has made it infinitely easier for them to go to their areas with the tool that they've been involved in developing to go about their business. And in terms of any reluctance from the tech side of things, for Transocean, certainly mobile devices on the rig now are just part of our business. You know, we're using mobile devices for everything at the work site, you know, so there's no transition required there. And of course, if you take any of those individuals and you put them back on shore in the real world, most of them can't function without a mobile device in their hands. So it's a simple sell, you know. So I'm looking forward to seeing how it looks on our rigs here by the end of this year.
Yes, very interesting, and I totally agree in what Russell just said about the real value being in the crew inspections, because that's where you have the actually all of those people doing those necessary daily, monthly, weekly inspections. So for sure.
Thanks, Russ. Indeed, very good feedback. I will be closely following this and see how this develops. I have no more questions. Is there any final thoughts any of the Axess team would like to share before we close?
I think we have went through the most important parts here. Of course, we have here Ricardo with his virtual hand up. Go ahead, Ricardo.
Sorry for again, but just one last point is that, sorry for that. The point is that we are opening for third-party inspection. We know that, okay, that's a wild move in a way. It is a bold move, but we know that it wouldn't work for drillers if they didn't have this option. Maybe for Transocean it would, because we already have an exclusive anyway. But I mean, the wide world that are not ready to go that move. That's why we took this approach. We see ourselves as being a very high competence company, not only with the manpower supply of drops inspectors. So we are okay that taking this high level, we are gonna maybe lose part of our revenue with the drops inspection itself, but we are moving up on the value chain. And then, of course, it opens to other industries, it opens to the data analysis, and in the end of the day, if we don't do it, someone else might. So we are taking this approach, this pragmatic approach for long term, even if it could hurt us in the short term.
Yes, that is correct. And I would also like to just highlight that being a part of a global group, Axess, we as Axess Digital have also the possibility to provide our clients with global support. And that is very important for us. I just want you to know that we haven't taken upon us this assignment easily. We actually built a software company around this software, and we have also established three important divisions with product management to manage all the user contact, to create user value, to focus on a healthy product and gain competitive edge for the users and to meet their needs. They also provide a lot of training and things like this. And our software development people, they will focus on developing the cutting edge technology at all times. They will still continue to work with user interface and improve the user experience. They will test the stability, adapt the software, do all the necessary tests so our clients are 100% sure to have a functioning software at all times. And in the end, the professional services, which is a very important department for both running the project and providing the necessary supports. We have a ticketing system where clients can get answers once they're stuck. They will get technical support. We will manage the users. They can download the user manuals. We have full control over cybersecurity, GDPR, and stable interface. So we spent quite a lot of time focusing on how to do this professionally, and we are now actually a full global software company that is actually focusing on this with a lot of effort, and I want our clients to know that.
All right. Very very good presentation. Thank you very much. Love to see where this is going. I think before we close, perhaps it would be good if you give a bit more detailed presentation about Axess, and I think as we discussed before, we deliberately put this towards the end because this video is put on YouTube, and our guests on the call, Phil, Sagar, and Russ, of course, know Axess very well. But for those who are viewing this recording, that might not be the case.
Yes. I can briefly share my screen again. Here we go. I hope you can see my presentation.
Yeah, we can see it.
So as I mentioned moments ago, you can see that the Axess Group has offices all around the world. And this is a very important and strategic way of approaching our clients, because we want to be able to provide the necessary service and support. Either if your installations are in Mexico or maybe in Norway or Singapore, we want to be close to our clients and we want to provide them with the necessary support. This software that we are talking about today goes a long way back, and it's actually before Axess Digital's time. But we decided that in order to develop ourselves and provide and to be able to develop this software, we needed to step up a notch, and that's why we established. First, it was sort of a internal department where all of these types of activities were handled. But then recently, about a year ago, we actually took Axess Digital and registered it as a own legal entity, so separate legal unit, which will focus only on software. So a pure software company. And we have gotten so far now that we have actually more than 10 employees in Axess Digital, where they are spread over the 3 departments that I have been talking about. Of course, the sales department is not represented here, but there's no need for that actually, because the value here lies within the 3 departments here that you can see. So our company focuses, of course, on safety and software and implementation, data analysis, and things that you can see here to provide support. And that is spread through these 3 very important departments. Actually, the head of professional services is in Mintec today. It's Frederick, that you can see. Frederick is really doing a great work about lifting the professional services to a new level. This department will be sort of together with sales, maybe the first contact that once you are implementing eDROPS, because all of the project management and follow up and things like that lies within professional services. In addition, they have a very professional system for support and tickets, where our customers can go inside the portal and get all the help that they need. Professional services will, of course, also administrate all the users and make sure that all our clients have the necessary license for and can access the software that they have purchased. A very important thing in today's world is also security. And I might mention that all of our data is stored according to all the necessary rules and regulations. So the customers, they purchase an access to that data. And we want to make sure that this data is stored in a completely safe way. So this is important things that professional services are working with. When it comes to software development, that's where we will typically try to to develop our solutions, as we did, for example, now with the most recently added feature, which was eDROPS calculator. We saw that the need was there. We discussed it with our clients, and we decided to go for the implementation of it. And these are the people actually who are then working to do that kind of activities. They will also focus on user interface and user experience, make sure that all the boxes are in the correct places, and of course that the software is stable. They perform all the necessary testing in advance. So once we have released the software, our clients are fully there is no risk for any failures and things like that. And the product management team, which I also want to highlight, they are sort of the sales department will be the listening ear towards our client, and then we will sort of put all of these findings toward inside of the product management. And product management has, of course, their own channels towards the client as well, but they will sort of build a list of all of the necessary product development that we believe should be done. But of course, you cannot start with 100 assignments at the same time. So they will be the ones who are at all times trying to figure out what are the main priorities. And then once they decide, this will be sent into the software development department, and they will do the magic. As I already said, we have ambitions to grow. We are growing quite fast. We have partnered up, of course, with the Axess Group, and Axess Group is our partner towards the clients, both in all of these segments that you can see on my screen here. And they are working together with us to show our clients how they can save money and time and increase safety and quality on their installations by implementing digitalized solutions. And our ambitions are that we will focus more on this type of activities like partnerships, and go together with several more companies where we can have the same type of cooperation. So I think that that maybe is the most important thing so far. But as we already stated, and what I have here in the back of my presentation, is that it's not only eDROPS. We are constantly working on identifying our client needs, and we already have other applications such as Equip, NDT, and MHP, which I mentioned earlier in this presentation. And we are also scanning for new possible softwares that can help meet our client needs. And it's a very interesting sort of to be a partially startup company, but also a part of something which has been there for more than 20 years, where we can then put our knowledge together and try to make our clients live in a world which is safer than it was, and with constant development towards new products and new ways of doing things. So that's a little bit about our software company and our ambitions. I hope this was interesting.
Thanks very much, Goran. Yeah.
Can I add one slide just to, since we're going from the product to the group, just to finish on the Axess Digital. So if,
Yeah, go ahead, Ricardo.
Yeah, it's literally just one slide. It's going to be 30 seconds, just to give an overview of. Oops, no, that's the wrong screen. So just to give an overview, so we went to the product, which eDROPS here, and then Goran presented Axess Digital, which is more or less here, and then just to give an overview of Axess Group. So we have our asset integrity management, which is the one actually with the personnel and the engineers. our engineering solution as well for lifting equipment, replacement, whenever there's an area without any crane reach, then we can do the planning and all of the execution as well. And then the other part of Axess is also branded differently. It's called Alpa, which is manufacturing some lifting equipment itself and doing maintenance of mostly cranes and winches. But that's just a high level view. We went from the small to the big one, so just ending there.
Yes, a very important slide there, Ricardo, and thank you for that. It gives a very good overview actually of how we have built our cooperation, and working with this partnership is actually a very, very interesting way of working. And we're looking forward to reaching out to more of our clients.
Yes, excellent. So yeah, thanks very much, Goran, and the Axess team. Big thanks as well to Sagar, Russ, and Phil, who joined from our Drops Asia steering committee to make this this session a bit more interactive. So yeah, thanks very much, and great. Have a good day.